The man never imagined that the body they were about to dissect in class was actually his girlfriend. At first, he thought they just resembled each other, but when he saw the coin in the corpse's mouth, Jiang Ning's heart instantly sank to the bottom. It was because that coin was the one Jiang Ning had personally given her a week ago, and the mark they made on it was still clearly visible. Seeing this, the teacher's expression also turned extremely serious. According to the records, this corpse had been soaked in a formalin pool for at least 8 years. Hearing this, Jiang Ning's pupils suddenly contracted, and a cold sweat quietly seeped through his back. Their encounter could be traced back to a train station a year ago. After many coincidental encounters, the two naturally got together. As Jiang Ning's first love, she was very impressive. At 20, she had already working at a research institute, but due to her social anxiety, their dates were mostly in secluded places. Strangely, every time they went on a date, they would be attacked by a large group of cats and dogs. Until one morning, those stray cats and dogs all died mysteriously. It was also from this day that Xiaoyu frequently borrowed money from him, always 1 yuan, and the coin had to be from 2018. She said she would use it to buy a life. She would always ask to meet with Jiang Ning and hand him the coin he had given her last time, asking him to spend it within a day. She said that the blessed coin would lose its luck, and this situation continued for a whole year. During this time, Jiang Ning always kept this agreement, until one time he forgot about it. After that, Jiang Ning received a breakup message from Xiaoyu. Since then, he had never seen Xiaoyu again, and the messages he sent were like stones sinking into the sea. He never expected their next meeting to be in such a bizarre way. He was unable to accept it, running directly to his dormitory and wrapped himself tightly in his quilt. But at that moment, a knocking sound on the door stunned him again. Hearing a familiar voice, Jiang Ning sighed in relief. It turned out that the person who came was his classmate and roommate, Zhang Chang. As soon as they met, Zhang Chang started talking about that corpse. It was lucky that Jiang Ning ran away. The dissection scene was indeed a bit scary. But as he spoke, he took out the coin from his pocket. How could a corpse that had been soaked in a pool since 2014 have a 2018 coin in its mouth? Seeing this, Jiang Ning's pupils contracted again. Zhang Chang, why did you take the coin from the descent's mouth? But Zhang Chang seemed to not hear Jiang Ning's words and continued to observe the coin in his hand. Helplessly, Jiang Ning could only tell him to spend it quickly. However, these words obviously fell into Zhang Chang's ears. At this time, Zhang Chang just touched his forehead and said that he might having low blood sugar. Then, he picked up a piece of chocolate on the table and began to chew it. Seeing this, Jiang Ning could only lower his voice again. Zhang Chang, don't delay too long with that coin, you must spend it within 24 hours. But Zhang Chang just waved his hand and then lay down on the bed and fell asleep. Seeing Zhang Chang fall asleep, Jiang Ning, who was always energetic, suddenly was exhausted. However, not long after he fell asleep, he felt a chill. When he opened his eyes, Zhang Chang, with bloodshot eyes, was staring at him. This scene instantly made him sit up, but Zhang Chang's figure was still approaching. Seeing this, Jiang Ning had no choice but to push him away. However, the moment his hand loosened, Jiang Ning was suddenly stunned. Why are you all wet? But before he could continue to ask, Zhang Chang looked out the window blankly. Jiang Ning, did you hear that? It seems that someone is calling my name, over at the small bridge. Hearing this, Jiang Ning was shocked. The dormitory was at least a few hundred meters away from the small bridge on campus. I can hear it, I can hear it. Someone is calling me, many people are calling me, it's you. What he saw instantly made him alert again. On the table was the chocolate that Zhang Chang had eaten, and the strange 1 yuan coin. Before he could think, a message sound interrupted his thoughts. After picking up his phone, Jiang Ning was once again stunned by what he saw on the screen. The message was the news of Zhang Chang's death. This instantly brought Jiang Ning back to reality. How could that be possible? Zhang Chang had died at 6 p.m. yesterday. So, what he had seen last night, wasn't that a ghost? Thinking of this, he also sat up in fear. It turned out that what he experienced last night was not a dream, but that it was sucking his yang energy. Without hesitation, he rushed to the door, only then did he remember the strange coin. If he didn't deal with it quickly, he might be in trouble too. After pondered, Jiang Ning finally picked up the coin. He couldn't afford to gamble now. Counting from the time Zhang Chang asked him for the chocolate, the coin had been in Jiang Ning's possession for less than 24 hours. Zhang Chang died at 6 p.m. yesterday, and now it was 5:50 a.m., leaving him only 10 minutes. On the way, Jiang Ning's mind was racing. His girlfriend, Xiaoyu, had told him before that there were rules about this coin. It could only be used for one-on-one exchanges of goods. Supermarkets and vending machines were out of the question. Therefore, Jiang Ning's only option was the nearby snack street. But the biggest problem now was that there were too many people, and he didn't have time to queue. But soon, Jiang Ning spotted a barbecue stall. He rushed to the stall and ordered a squid, even asking for a raw one. However, hearing this, the owner refused him. "I can't sell it raw. If you get diarrhea, I can't take that risk." Hearing this, he realized little time left. The owner continued, "Young man, I'll only sell you this squid for 2 yuan. You can keep the coin. I can't accept this ghost money. Young man, whether it's a blessing or a curse, take out the money, and bear the consequences yourself." Before he could react, Zhang Chang's call came in. Seeing the caller's name, Jiang Ning broke out in a cold sweat. This dead person can still make calls. What is it? A death reminder. But as the phone kept ringing, a surge of anger welled up inside him. He immediately answered the call and unleashed a torrent of curses at the other end. After venting his anger, he hung up on Zhang Chang. This scene left the onlookers bewildered. The owner from earlier was also amused by his words, laughing heartily, "Good kid, you've got guts. I like it." Seeing this, Jiang Ning could only pick up the coin again and look at the owner. "Uncle, since you recognize the origin of this coin, do you have any way to help me? The money has turned black, it's useless to spend. Looking at your face, your yang energy is almost completely drained, I think you'll die by tonight. But seeing that you still have a bit of spirit, I'll teach you 2 lines of Taoist scripture. Whether you live or die, try your luck." Hearing this, Jiang Ning, who had already given up hope, was overjoyed. "If I can live until tomorrow, I'll come back to buy all squids." "Alright, if you can come tomorrow, I'll take your ghost money and let you eat your fill of squid." After said his goodbye to the owner, Jiang Ning wandered around, hoping to find a place to rest. Just as he was looking around, a delivery scooter sped past him and then crashed heavily at the intersection. Hearing the sound, Jiang Ning's heart tightened instantly. Without hesitation, he rushed towards the delivery driver. Upon reaching him, he told the driver not to move and began checking him for injuries. However, upon contact, Jiang Ning's heart sank. This living person exuded a chilling aura. Before he could examine it further, the young man stood up on his own. "I'm really fine. You're the only one who helped me up. Thank you for saving me, buddy. You're a good person, and I'll help you too. Look over there, rub the paper ashes on your clothes, and take the bowl with you. The one that wants to harm you won't be able to find you tonight." Hearing this, Jiang Ning's back was instantly soaked in cold sweat. "Those things are. That's right, those things were burned for me by my mother." But when he turned back, Jiang Ning finally understood that the young man from earlier was also a ghost. After all, even if the young man was a ghost, he was a good ghost. Regardless, his words were worth a try. After pondered, Jiang Ning decided that after he escaped this crisis, he would definitely come back and burn paper money and incense for him. However, before he could relax for long, as soon as Jiang Ning arriving at the place, was stunned by the scene before him. The monument in the middle of the park had disappeared without a trace. Fortunately, the pavilion was still there, offering shelter from the rain. But as he jogged to the pavilion, the situation left him bewildered. Even though it was late at night, the pavilion was crowded with people. Subconsciously, he assumed that these people were also trapped here by the rain. "A beggar? You look pitiful. Come in and take shelter from the rain." As he was closer, he noticed that the old man was no living person at all. The old man was clearly a dead person dressed in burial clothes. Thinking of this, Jiang Ning began to tremble uncontrollably. He realized that no one inside the pavilion was alive. But before Jiang Ning could think further, the old man approached him. "Beggar, why are you still breathing?" At this, Jiang Ning could only turn his head tremblingly. indicating that he had just died and was not quite used to it. After answering, he stumbled aside. With the incense ash covering me, be careful, and maybe I can blend in. But the world is unpredictable. The next second, Zhang Chang's voice rang out from outside the pavilion. Seeing this, Jiang Ning instantly clenched his fist, and quickly crouched down. But due to the cover of the incense ash, Zhang Chang could only circle outside the pavilion for the time being. Although he could smell something, he couldn't see Jiang Ning's figure at all. Seeing this, Jiang Ning breathed a sigh of relief. But then, the old man's voice sounded again, "Beggar, that water monkey just now was looking for you, right?" Hearing this, Jiang Ning's heart felt like it was on a roller coaster. For a moment, he didn't know if he should reply or not. Seeing that Jiang Ning didn't answer, the old man asked again, "Beggar, why aren't you responding? If you don't speak, I'll kick you out into the rain." Seeing this, Jiang Ning could only trembling raise his head. I don't know that water monkey. He wasn't looking for me. The old man said, "Then I'll let you end here. Give me the bowl and clothes. When it's light, I'll give you back them." The old man instantly became furious and even started to use his claws. As the old man made his move, the other ghosts also began to approach Jiang Ning. But while Jiang Ning was busy defending against the other ghosts, the old man directly grabbed his collar and dragged him out from under the stone table. Without the defense of stone table, Jiang Ning instantly became a fish on the chopping board. His bowl was also thrown away. Facing the incredibly strong old man, Jiang Ning could only use all his strength to resist. But what terrified Jiang Ning even more was that the old man had now guessed his identity. "You're alive. You didn't come to avoid the rain. You came to avoid disaster, to avoid that water monkey." As soon as these words were spoken, the pavilion instantly erupted into chaos, and many ghosts lunged at Jiang Ning. At this critical moment, Jiang Ning finally remembered the Taoist scripture. As the sound of the scripture emerged, the fierce ghosts all clutched their heads in pain. Seeing this, Jiang Ning was also delighted. He didn't expect that the few sentences the uncle had taught him would actually be effective. However, the Taoist scripture did not have such a significant effect on the veteran ghost. In just a moment, the old ghost calmed down and then grabbed Jiang Ning's throat. This time, Jiang Ning had nothing left to rely on. In the old ghost's grip, he was choked until his eyes rolled back. But just then, the old ghost suddenly had his pupils quake, and his body began to tremble involuntarily. After letting go, the ghosts instantly scattered. He was the only one left in the pavilion. Seeing this, Jiang Ning was also very puzzled. But soon, he noticed the movement behind him. Sniffing the smell of formalin made him nervous. So, he trembled and looked behind him. But nothing was found. After a long time, Jiang Ning finally picked up the bowl and looked outside the pavilion. At this moment, he really missed Xiaoyu. The things he had experienced in a short period of time also made him involuntarily shed tears. The next morning, as the sound of rhythmic exercises blared, Jiang Ning slowly waked up. When he saw the old man and the sun in the distance, he was overjoyed, relieved that he had finally survived the clutches of those old ghosts. He tried to stand up, but his body collided heavily with the stone table and his bowl shattered instantly. Seeing this, his joyful mood turned to anxiety once more. Without the bowl, he might be in big trouble tonight. While he was still lamenting, he felt something wrong with his arm. He quickly took off his shirt and found his body densely covered with lividity. Seeing this, Jiang Ning understood that it must be related to those ghosts. Even if he had escaped Zhang Chang, he would probably still die. Now, he had to save himself. After a brief tidy-up, he reappeared in front of the barbecue stall. "Since we've met, it must be fate. I can take care of your problem," he said. Hearing this, Jiang Ning immediately expressed his thanks, but Uncle Yu waved his hand and then held up 2 fingers. "Don't thank me so quickly. This is a service, it'll cost you this much." Thinking it was 2,000, Jiang Ning didn't think much of it. But Uncle Yu silently lit a cigarette and then crossed his arms. 2,000? No, it's 20,000. You already have covered lividity. Without a professional like me to help you, you'll surely die tonight. This is already a student discount. After all, I'm helping you solve a problem, and that comes at a cost to me. Hearing this, Jiang Ning was instantly dumbfounded. There was no way he could come up with 20,000 yuan right now. He didn't expect that without money, he couldn't even keep his life. Memories of his childhood flashed through his mind at that moment. Grandpa had worked so hard to raise me, and if I died like this, how could I repay him and see him off in his old age? But now he was helpless. The 20,000 yuan felt like the last straw that broke the camel's back. Uncle Yu, I'm a bit short on cash right now. Could I pay a deposit first, and I'll give you an IOU for the rest? You just need to agree verbally. No need for an IOU. This price is the rule in our business. Our meeting is fate, so today just give me enough for grocery money. Taking your case is also to accumulate some good karma for myself and to practice my old craft. You might think Uncle is just a fried squid vendor, but in fact, Uncle used to be a yin chef. According to the research, for the living, it is yang chef. The living eat yang dishes for good health and joy, the ghosts eat yin dishes to dispel resentment and facilitate reincarnation. Jiang Ning's ghost money was also a type of life-exchanging money. People with weak botzi who took it would be entangled by ghosts. As he spoke, Uncle Yu took the coin from Jiang Ning's hand and began to pack up his stall. He followed Jiang Ning to prepare the ingredients they needed, and Uncle Yu finally finished preparing the yin dishes until the dusk. Before leaving, Uncle Yu repeatedly instructed, "Don't let other ghosts eat it, otherwise our efforts will be wasted." Also, since Zhang Chang drowned, I specially brought some props and taught you the order of setting the table. After everything was ready, Jiang Ning went to People's Park again, where he had been the night before. Just as he was about to set off, Uncle Yu called out to him again, "The journey won't be smooth. Just in case, I have 2 more things for you to take with you." Soon, Jiang Ning arrived near the park. But just as he had taken a few steps, he heard Uncle Yu's voice behind him, "The journey won't be smooth. Just in case." But Jiang Ning didn't turn his head directly. It was said that people have 3 fires on their shoulders, and turning around rashly could easily attract ghosts. Moreover, it was exactly what Uncle Yu had said before. Thinking it must be those ghosts, he reached into his bag. However, the voice grew closer, as if Uncle Yu really was behind him. Having no other choice, Jiang Ning immediately scattered a handful of peanuts behind him. As the peanuts were scattered, the things behind him instantly swarmed. Seeing this, Jiang Ning felt a little relieved. Uncle Yu was right, they were indeed treasures. Neither humans nor ghosts could escape the ultimate temptation of peanuts. Soon, the peanuts on the ground were all eaten. Helplessly, Jiang Ning could only run while scattering peanuts in the distance along the way. After all the turmoil, although the journey was full of difficulties and obstacles, he finally reached his destination. After arriving at the lake, he quickly removed the wooden bucket, then began setting up the table and placing a bowl of rice on it. Now, as long as Zhang Chang crawled out of the lake and had his resentment dissipated, he would be completely safe. However, just as Jiang Ning had finished setting up the incense, a familiar voice sounded out again, "Shelter-seeking boy, you came last night and now you're back again tonight?" Hearing this, he was instantly nervous. He hadn't expected that the incense had barely been lit, the one he was expecting hadn't arrived, but the uninvited one had come first. Thus, Jiang Ning repeated his previous tactic, "I didn't mean to disturb you. Please, everyone, have something to eat and then leave." Fearing that the old man would cause trouble, Jiang Ning directly handed over the remaining cloth bag to him. However, the old man flung the items away fiercely, saying, "I want to eat the meat in the basket. I don't want this stuff. The fierce woman who saved you last night isn't here. If you don't let me eat, I'll overturn your table and throw you into the lake as a substitute for that water monkey. And don't even think that the woman will come out to protect you. She's in trouble herself right now." Upon hearing this, Jiang Ning muttered under his breath, "What woman?" Old man replied, "If you want to know, then remove the seal, and give me the meat in the basket to eat." However, while Jiang Ning outwardly agreed, he secretly placed his hand on his waist, and then swiftly raised a knife and swung it towards the old man. This action immediately created a distance between the man and the ghost. Before the old ghost could stand up, he hurriedly shouted, "No, no, no, don't kill me. Let's talk it out." Soon, the old man described the woman's appearance to Jiang Ning. But just as he was thinking about Xiaoyu, a noise behind him caught his attention. As Zhang Chang's voice rang out, Jiang Ning's heart leapt back into his throat. He had been so preoccupied with questioning the old man about Xiaoyu that he had forgotten about the troublesome Zhang Chang. Before Jiang Ning could react, Zhang Chang grabbed him by the shoulder. In his struggle, Jiang Ning quickly pulled over the nearby basket. "Look, I've got so many delicious dishes here, and we haven't even eaten yet. We're not in such a hurry to go back, let's eat something first." Hearing this, Zhang Chang slowly turned his head, but he immediately caught a whiff of the aroma from the wooden bucket. The delicious food in the bucket instantly made him unable to move. Seeing this, Jiang Ning quickly went to the stall he had just set up. Come, sit down here, I'll set out the dishes." As he spoke, Jiang Ning began rummaging in the bucket. First, he took out a piece of flour cake. As soon as he took it out, Zhang Chang devoured it in a few bites. Next, Jiang Ning took out the earthworm stewed chicken, and the locust tree bark boiled meat, 3 dishes specifically designed to target ghostly evil spirits. And as he watched Zhang Chang gradually regain his human form, Jiang Ning was overjoyed. It seems these dishes are indeed effective. Now, as long as he finishes eating, I should be able to finish him. But just as Jiang Ning was feeling relieved, a bird's cry sounded above his head. He was startled, wondering where the owl had come from out of nowhere. But soon, he noticed the old ghost behind the large tree. Upon seeing him, the old ghost grinned eerily at him. Immediately, Zhang Chang also stopped what he was doing. "We can't eat anymore, we have to get going. It seems the teacher is urging us." Hearing this, Jiang Ning was dumbfounded. He quickly took out the last dish for Zhang Chang to taste. However, the only response he received was a tight grip on his throat. Then, Zhang Chang, holding him by the neck, started walking towards the lake. Seeing this, Jiang Ning's heart was filled with unwillingness. He was so close, just one last step away. But no matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't break free from Zhang Chang's grasp. Thus, he decided to no longer show any mercy and placed his hand on the precious saber at his waist. He then slashed fiercely at Zhang Chang's arm. "You're already fucking dead, why are you still haunting me? I took care of you when you were sick, brought you food, signed in for you, and now you're doing this to me. Do I owe you anything? Come with me, I'll take you back to see the teacher." The situation became extremely tense. After failing to get a response, he swung his blade again, this time aiming for Zhang Chang's cheek. However, this strike wasn't as powerful as the previous one. It only left a shallow scar on Zhang Chang's face. After the slash, Zhang Chang's arm immediately solidified again. "Hurry up, the teacher is urging us." Jiang Ning was momentarily stunned. Then Zhang Chang tightened his grip on his throat once more. Simultaneously, Zhang Chang knocked the butcher knife from his hand, sending it flying into the water. With the butcher knife sinking to the bottom, Jiang Ning instantly became like a fish on a chopping board, completely stripped of any chance to fight back. Water flooded his nostrils. And just as he was losing consciousness, a pair of large hands quietly grabbed his collar. "Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Wherever the spirit came from, return to the earth." Just as these words fell,